Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi guys, welcome to episode 467 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. I hope you're well. Just a reminder that if you're loving the episodes, please go and give me a 5-star rating and share it with as many people as you can. I mean, the world can always use 10 minutes of positivity. I mean, we'll share bad news like our life depends on it, and we'll share funny videos like our life depends on it. But 10 minutes of empowering words could quite literally save a person in ways you don't even know. So if these episodes are helping you, even in just a little way, share them. You never know whose life you're going to impact. All right, so have you ever read a story in the news, or maybe you know someone that made a really bad judgment call and things ended up snowballing and now they're in jail or their reputation is destroyed and you thought, wow, better them than me, or maybe you had judgy thoughts about it? I'm going to take a guess and say, yeah, that you've had that happen. But what if the shoe were on the other foot? How would you want to be thought of, or how would you want to be treated if it was you who had done the thing? Eric and I have this classic Mastercraft boat that we just love, and we keep it at a lake in Arkansas about 4 hours away. Now, I'm a little funny about water, and this lake is the second cleanest in the nation, so it's spectacular, to me anyway. There's nothing like finding a cove and just parking the boat with an anchor and hanging out all day. Literally, the lake is so big and so remote that they don't allow houses to be built, so it's really natural, but it's so quiet. And on most days, we can find that cove and have it to ourselves for the entire day, and we'll literally lay in the water and just listen to the sounds of nature. So water lapping, trees swaying in the wind, birds singing. Every once in a while, a fish will jump, and you just hear that noise. And it's so good for my soul when we do that. When we go now, there's a guy he actually goes out ahead of us, and he'll go to the marina and pull the boat out of storage and make sure it's in really good condition, and then put it in the water so that when we get there, all we have to do is hop in and off we go. Since it's 4 hours away, we don't want to waste half a day doing all of that. And honestly, neither one of us really would know how to fix a boat. But his name is Benny. He's a really nice guy who comes out with his son, and he's always so honest and great with our boat, and we really trust him with it. And he owns a boat repair business and has been helping us for several years. Now, it's not cheap, but it is so worth it. So when summer is over, Benny will come back out to the lake, and we'll have left the boat in one of the slips. And this is not a quick drive for him either. It's an hour from his boat repair shop to this lake. It is a really remote lake, but it's an hour drive for him. So he'll take that drive, and he will winterize the boat and then put it back in storage. So this last year, there were a few things that kind of needed work. So he asked if it was okay if he could take our boat out and take it back to his shop, and then he would bring it back and put it back in dry storage once he was done. So Eric said, of course, yes. Well, when we decided that we wanted to go to the lake this year, we had never heard from Benny, that wasn't really odd. We just knew he had the boat somewhere. We kind of thought he might have put it back in storage, and we just hadn't heard from him yet. But anyway, he's super reliable, so we hadn't really thought about it. So this year, when we decided we wanted to take a weekend at the lake, we were texting and calling Benny, but never got an answer back, to the point where I thought something bad had happened, like had he died or something was going on. I mean, we had both tried to reach out to him. So Eric does a little detective work after a couple weeks of this, of not being able to reach him, and it doesn't take long to find that Benny, along with his wife, has been arrested. He was going to prison for 6 years, and his wife had been sentenced to 1 year in prison, but that had been commuted, so she didn't actually have to go to prison. And listen, Eric's friends with him on Facebook, and these were upstanding people. They both went to church. She actually held a position in local government. So this is super insane. I mean, what in the world? Well, it turns out one really bad night ruined the life they had. They'll never be the same. One bad night of him getting drunk and losing his temper at a restaurant, and then making it way worse by threatening a police officer in some way. Dumbest thing you can do. He did all that one night. She tried to help him by hiding evidence. He had a knife, or that was the story anyway, and she took it and hid it. So that got her a year in jail. And of course, she had to resign from her government position, which now what? But neither one of them had any prior offenses at all. None. No problems prior to that. But here we are. Now, I tell this story because it's really been on our minds over the last week or so, because it's really scary how that happens. One bad night and life has changed forever. It's scary because have you ever lost your temper? I mean, these are good people who made really bad judgment calls. His while being drunk, hers in an effort to help her husband. Now, I think I definitely would have tried to help Eric if he got himself in trouble like that. So we've been sending prayers and love to them and their family because that is exactly what we would want if we were in that situation. And we're all imperfect, and sometimes we make mistakes. Now, obviously, most people are not out there fighting officers while they're drunk, but that isn't the point. The point is Benny and his wife made big mistakes, yes, but mistakes are a part of life. It's the part that grows us the most if we learn from them and ask really what it's teaching us. Now, most of us don't make the mistakes that end us up in prison, thank goodness, but we do make mistakes nonetheless. Maybe we took a gamble and lost a bunch of life savings. Maybe we did something hurtful to someone we love. However our version of mistakes looks, the question I have is, how do you want to be treated when you make a mistake? Eric and I have both been sending prayers and love to Benny and his wife because that's what we would want in their situation. When I make a mistake, I want to be forgiven. When I make a mistake, I want to be loved through it. How do you want to be treated when you make a mistake? Do you extend that same grace to others that you hope that they would extend to you? And sometimes maybe it's not even a mistake. Maybe it's just little things that we judge others for. Maybe the way they raise their kids or how they treat their husband. Maybe it's their politics or the way they eat or how much they drink. Maybe it's their religious beliefs. For me, I love my family so much, and I want them to accept me the way I am, even though I don't belong to their religion anymore. And I do things that they think are sinful. You know, really everything in their religion is sinful, in my opinion, like celebrating holidays or voting or doing anything patriotic. All of those things to them are wrong, but I still want them to love me anyway. So I, in return, have to show them that same love, even though I don't agree with a lot of the ideas that they have either. But you know what? Life is too short to spend any time holding a grudge against someone who means a lot to you. Days can easily become weeks, and weeks can become months, and then months become years, and now you're estranged. And over what? Who they voted for? That's ridiculous. In order to be happy in this life, we have to remember that every single one of us has our own ideas, our own agendas, our own idea of right and wrong, in fact. Sometimes we get upset over some perceived slight, but it's better to forgive, is it better to forgive, or is it better to hang on to it? In my mind, it's always better for everyone if we're faster to forgive and to overlook, because life is too short to be trying to decide whose sin is worse. I see so many times like these obese, super Christian women condemning someone who is gay. But guess what? In the Bible, obesity is a sin too. So who's worse? That's why we have to give grace to everyone. Our friends who live their life a little differently than we do, our family who maybe judges us a little because we did something they think we shouldn't have. Everyone is going through something. And often you have no idea what that is. We have no idea what was going on in Benny's head that night, but I promise you, he's beat himself up enough for all of us, and he's paying a huge price too. And I hope in some way he feels the love and the prayers that we've been sending, because I know that's what I would want. I want to be loved anyway. And I imagine you do too. My challenge to you this week is to consider someone in your life that you can extend grace or forgiveness to. Maybe it's someone you've been judging. Maybe it's someone who made a mistake and you're glad it wasn't you. Maybe it's someone that hurt you in some way. Or maybe it's just someone who believes in something you don't agree with, like politics or religion, how they raise their kids, how they eat or drink, whatever it is. Give them the grace that you would want. Share this with 3 people full of grace. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.